Good morning, students. Today we are going to see the first unit, lesson 1, prose part, the portrait of a lady, written by Kushwant Singh. We can see the gist of the story. In the story, the author shows how his grandmother took care of him in his formative years. Every morning, she used to wake him up and got him ready for school. She accompanied him to school, and when they returned home, she used to throw chapatis to the village dogs. When the author went up to university, the grandmother accepted her seclusion with resignation. Instead of feeding the dogs, she started feeding the sparrows. The sparrows that were gathered in the veranda. The author went abroad for 5 years. The grandmother was not upset and she was not even sentimental. She continued her habits of reciting her prayers and feeding the sparrows. She breathed her last peacefully without making a fuss. The author is all praise for his grandmother, who was strong-minded and kind-hearted. Yes, we can see the lesson. Before going to see the lesson, we can go to the warm-up session. There are two pictures given, nuclear family or joint family. Based on the visuals given above, so you have to give 5 words at least or phrases in order to describe these two family types. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of the nuclear family and also the joint family you have to give. So now we can see certain 5 words and you can add your own words in order to say the advantages and disadvantages of nuclear family and joint family. Now we can see the nuclear family. It is a small family and it has some restricted relationship. Only parents and children live in the family and they have limited responsibility, and the main disadvantage is absence of love from the elders. Then we can pass on to the joint family. It is a big family, extended relationship, parents, children and grandparents. Responsibility will be given to elders. Elders take more responsibility in order to lead the family, and abundance of love and affection the whole family can get from the relatives. That is the people who live in that family. Now we can see the lesson. Here is a story that brings out the bond between the author and his loving grandmother. My grandmother, like everybody's grandmother, was an old woman. She had been old and wrinkled. Her face has so many wrinkles. Due to old age, the face seemed to be consist of so many wrinkles on the face. For the 20 years that I had known her, people said that she had once been young and pretty and had even had a husband. Was hard to believe. So from other family members or relatives, the author came to know that once upon a time the grandmother was a young and pretty woman and she had a husband. My grandfather's portrait hung above the mantelpiece. Mantelpiece, the wall above the fireplace that is there in the drawing room. In the hall of their house, which was hung means the grandfather's portrait. So in the photo only the author had seen his grandfather, and now he is going to give the appearance of the grandfather in the portrait. He wore a big turban and loose fitting clothes. His long white beard covered the best part of his chest and he looked at least 100 years old. So how the picture seemed to be means the grandfather wore a big turban and his clothes were very loose and he had a long white beard. It was extended up to his chest, and while looking at the photo, he assumed that that person consists of more than 100 years old. He did not look the sort of person who would have a wife or children. He looked as if he could only have lots and lots of grandchildren. So in the photo, the grandfather appeared to be too old. As for my grandmother, while the author is comparing the grandmother to the grandfather in the portrait, according to the author, the grandmother seemed to be young and pretty. She often told us of the games she used to play as a child that seemed quite absurd. So while hearing the games played by the grandmother, the author feel that the games played by the grandmother was absurd, foolish, and undignified. He never heard such games in his days, and we treated it like the fable. So according to the author, the games played by the grandmother seem to be fables once happened in the tales of the prophets she used to tell us. So according to the author, he never believed the words of the grandmother who said such games were played by her in her childhood days, but according to the author, it seemed to be a fables only, tales, not a reality. She had always been short and fat and slightly bent. Now we can see the appearance of the grandmother in the house. How she seemed to be means she was short, fat, and slightly bent. Due to her old age, she had a that is hooped hip. Her face was a crisscross of wrinkles running from her face was a crisscross of wrinkles running from everywhere to everywhere. So her face consists of so many wrinkles, fold part of the skin. No, we were certain she had always been, as we had known her, old, so terribly old that she could not have grown older and had stayed at the same age for 20 years. But according to the author, she seemed to be a young and pretty woman. She could never have been pretty, but she was always beautiful. So the author never seen the young and prettiness of the grandmother, but now at present she seemed to be a beautiful lady for the author. She hobbled, roaming around the house in spotless white. So she was wearing a spotless, that is pure plain white color dress, with one hand resting on her waist to balance her stoop. So she had a bent body. So she was resting one of her hand in order to balance her stoop, and with the other hand she had a rosary beads in her hand, and she was just rolling the beads in order to tell her prayers. Her silver locks refer to the grey hair, were scattered untidily over her pale, puckered face. Puckered means face with so many folds and wrinkles, and her lips constantly moved in inaudible. So she was just moving her lips, but she can't able to utter the words. We can't able to hear. It was the sounds came, or the words came from the grandmother's mouth. It is inaudible to the listeners, and she was uttering her prayer very silently by moving her lips. Yet she was beautiful. She was like the winter landscape in the mountain. How the winter landscape will be, that is, the mountain is covered by pure white color snow, like that who appeared to be means the grandmother. An expanse of pure white serenity. So you can see the calmness on her appearance, breathing peace and contentment. She was satisfied with what she was leading in that house. My grandmother and I were good friends. My parents left me with her when they went to live in the city, and we were constantly together. So in order to settle in the city, the parents left the author along with the grandmother in the village, and the parents left for the city. So the author had an opportunity to lead a life with the grandmother. She used to wake she woke the author in the morning and get him ready for the school. She said her morning prayer in a monotonous in an unchanging voice while she bathed and dressed me in the hope that I would listen and get to know it by heart. So every day after waking the author, she used to utter her prayers. What she hoped means she hoped that the author will learn the prayer song. I listened because I listened. I loved her voice but never bothered to learn it. But what is the opposite side of the author means? He used to listen the prayers uttered by the grandmother because he loved her voice but never bothered to learn those prayers. Then she would fetch my wooden slate which she had already washed and plastered with yellow chalk. The grandmother would fetch the author's wooden slate, which she had already washed and plastered with yellow chalk, a tiny earthen ink pot, and a red pen, tie them all in a bundle, and hand it to me. After a breakfast of a thick, stale chapati with a little butter and sugar spread on it. So, what was their breakfast means? A thick, stale chapati. Stale means it was prepared the day before with a little butter and sugar spread on it. Then we went to school. She carried several stale chapatis with her for the village dogs. My grandmother always went to school with me because the school was attached to the temple. Always the grandmother accompanied the author to the school and the school was attached to the temple. The priest taught us the alphabet and the morning prayer. So what the teacher in that school taught him means alphabets and the morning prayer. While the children sat in rows on either side of the veranda singing the alphabet or the prayer in a chorus, my grandmother sat inside the temple reading the scriptures. Scriptures, the holy books. When we had both finished, we would walk back together. This time, the village dogs would meet us at the temple door. They followed us to our home. So, from the temple, the dogs followed the author and the grandmother till they reached home, growling and fighting with each other for the chapati we threw to them. So, the grandmother carried some stale chapatis. No, so what they do means they feed the dogs. When my parents were comfortably settled in the city, they sent for us. So after they settle comfortably, they make arrangements for us in order to go and settle in the city. So the grandmother and the author had to leave the village life and they had a turning point in their friendship. Although we shared the same room, my grandmother no longer came to school with me because the author used to go to an English school in a motor bus. There were no dogs in the streets and she took to feeding sparrows in the courtyard of our city house. So there were no dogs, so she used to feed the sparrows. So like that the years rolled by, we saw less of each other. For some time, she continued to wake me up and get me ready for school. When I came back, she would ask me what the teacher had taught me. I would tell her English words and little things of Western science and learning the law of gravity, Archimedes' principle, the world being round, etc. This made her unhappy because she doesn't able to understand those words spoken by the author. She could not help me with my lesson. So she is not aware of the current syllabus. So she can't able to help the author in his lessons. She did not believe in the things they taught at the English school and was distressed. So while the narrator was narrating what had happened in the school, the grandmother was distressed. She became unhappy because there was no teaching about God and the scriptures. One day, I announced that we were being given music lessons. She said nothing, but her silence meant disapproval. So only she gave a silent reply while the author informed her that he had music lessons in school. it meant that it was a disapproval. So she was wondering what will what is the purpose of music in schools. So from that she rarely talked to me after that. When I went up to university, I was given a room of my own. The common link of friendship was snap reduced. My grandmother accepted her seclusion with resignation. So there is no use of her while taking care of the author. So she accepted her seclusion, loneliness. She rarely left her spinning wheel to talk to anyone. From sunrise to sunset, she sat by her wheel spinning and reciting prayers. Only in the afternoon, she relaxed for a while to feed the sparrows. While she sat on the veranda, breaking the bread into little bits, hundreds of little birds collected round her, creating a veritable bedlam. Bedlam, the noise made by the chirruping sound made by the sparrows. They came over, surrounded her in order to eat the little bits of bread. Some came and perched on her legs, others on her shoulders. Some even sat on her head. She smiled but never shooed them away. It used to be the happiest half hour of the day for her. So, the only entertainment for the grandmother in the city is she was happy while feeding the sparrows. When I decided to go abroad for further studies, I was sure my grandmother would be upset. I would be away for 5 years, and at her age, one could never tell. But my grandmother could. She was not even sentimental. She came to leave me at the railway station but did not talk or show any emotion. Always her lips moved in prayers, her mind was lost in prayer. Her fingers were busy telling the beads of her rosary. So when the author decided to go abroad, he can't able to find any sentimental emotion on the face of the grandmother. So she came to the railway station, but she did not utter a word, only she was doing her prayers. Silently, she kissed my forehead, and when I left, I cherished the moist imprint as perhaps the last sign of physical contact between us. So, my that is the author's inner mind. Tell him that this is the last sign of physical contact he is going to get from his grandmother. But that was not so. After 5 years, I came back home and I was met by her at the station. She did not look a day older. So, according to the author, how he had seen in his younger days, the lady appeared to be the same. She still had no time for words, and while she clasped me in her arms, I could hear her reciting her prayers. Even on the first day of my arrival, her happiest moments were with her sparrows, whom she fed longer and with frivolous rebukes. So, in a very happy moment, uh, she was feeding the sparrows, and she feel that she was hereafter not lonely whilst feeding the sparrows. In the evening, a change came over her. She did not pray. She collected the women of the neighborhood, got an old drum, and started to sing. For several hours, she thumped the saging skin of the dilapidated drum. So what she was doing means she collected the women from the neighborhood and she took an old drum and she started beating and singing. So the skins of the drum were dilapidated. Dilapidated, it was much damaged. And what song she was singing means about the homecoming of warriors. We had to persuade her, so they forced her to stop to avoid overstraining. That was the first time since I had known her that she did not pray. The next morning, she was taken ill. It was a mild fever, and the doctor told us that it would go. But my grandmother thought differently. She told us that her end was near. She said that since only a few hours before the close of the last chapter of her life, she had omitted to pray. She was not going to waste any more time talking to us. So, The doctor, even though the doctor said it was a mild fever, but the grandmother had no hope that she is going to live hereafter. We protested, so she said that the past few hours she refused, that is, she stopped praying, so she don't want to waste any more time. But the whole family protested her and asked her to take rest, but she ignored our protests. She lay peacefully in bed praying and telling her beads. Even before we could suspect, her lips stopped moving and the rosary fell from her lifeless fingers. A peaceful pallor spread on her face, and we knew that she was. So she lay peacefully, uttered her prayers, and finally the grandmother was dead, and her face have a peaceful pallor, unhealthy, pale appearance. We lifted her off the bed and, as is customary, laid her on the ground and covered her with a red shroud, the covering for the dead body. After a few hours of mourning, we left her alone to make arrangements for her funeral. In the evening, we went to her room with a crude stretcher to take her to be cremated. The sun was setting and had lit her room and veranda with a blaze of golden light. We stopped halfway in the courtyard, all over the veranda and in her room, right up to where she lay dead and stiff wrapped in the red straw. Thousands of sparrows sat scattered on the floor. There was no chirruping sound. We felt sorry for the birds, and my mother fetched some bread for them. She broke into little crumbs the way my grandmother used to feed the sparrows and threw it to them. The sparrows took no notice of the bread. When we carried my grandmother's corpse off, they flew away quietly. Next morning, the sweeper swept the breadcrumbs into the dustbin. So even the sparrows, they mourn for the death of the grandmother by refusing to feed the bread bits. So from this we can understand it is true that even the birds and the five sense creatures have capable of empathy.